So, a question for you. At this point, we have to assume that, well, we're going off a tropical climate, yada yada yada. But like, I still pose the question of how is Eggman keeping up?
Oh,
And
I don't know. I was about to get nitpicky and say, how is this? There's no core to the last hex. So how is the ocean staying down? But yeah, that's my only mention of that. Just continue.
well, we never get to the middle, and I'm sure you're going to be like, oh, we could get into the other side of the last hex in a different game. If Sega wasn't how they were.
Yeah. Oh, he's literally just like a Master Roshi, or what's another kind of character that's like Master Roshi? I don't know.
Mr. Miyagi?
I guess.
You don't know who that is, do you?
Of course I know. He's from. I was trying to make a joke, but the only thing I could think of was Kick Buttowski. He's from whatever that show, Master Kicks. What's that? What's it? I'm sure
Kicks?
Karate Kid.
Is that your? Okay.
I was about to say, I'm sure the name does not have the word kick in it, but I keep defaulting to that.
Oh boy. Because I was just like, Master Kicks, is that your final answer? Oh, geez.
Is this the boss?
No, well, technically it is stage number 2 and 4 always end in a boss, but yeah, this is the last stage of Tropical Coast.
It's weird how, I mean, I guess the fruit motif was consistent, but the zone felt really disconnected from being a beach, because it's more interested in the fruit theme, which I guess is fine. It's different. It's like, yeah, people constantly say these games need to have more unique. By these games, I mostly mean Mario, but I'm assuming it applies to Sonic as well. It's have more unique themes for this.
Well, the problem with that is that it's very, very easy to come up with ways to sort of break things up. And sure, not all ideas are created equal, and some of them you'd have to think of them logistically, yada yada yada. But like, it's not that hard to decide to spice things up with a different with like things going differently, and like that's what Sonic Mania does. In the Mirage Saloon zone, there's a place where you activate giant setzer bottles and they become your platforms.
Yes, and I'm thinking it kind of applies more to 2D Mario and 3D Mario when it comes to Mario games, because that's what I was about to say, but I had something else in mind. In that, what constitutes as being weird differs from the games, because Super Mario Odyssey, going to a big city, is different from Mario, but it's probably one of the most cliche things you could do for Sonic.
Well, actually, not that cliche. But it has happened enough.
I mean, all of Sonic Generations are basically just the same.
Okay, Sonic Generations is a special thing where it just so happened where most of the most popular things were cities.
There's so many city stages that you could populate half a game with them.
I guess that's a good enough point, but
a lot of them were very different. Like, I'm not gonna argue that Night City, is it called Night City?
Night City? What are you talking about?
No, that's Cyberpunk. The city from Sonic Adventure 1.
Speed Highway,
and whatever that place in Sonic Werewolf. I'm so bad at names.
Oh my gosh. Rooftop Run.
Yeah, Rooftop Run. I'm not gonna pretend Rooftop Run and Speed Highway. Alright, anyway, similar. Just because they're both cities. So, yeah.
At least you have that understanding. But it's something where, like, that is a good enough...
great.
Yes, it is. Even though the con-
It takes
the
10 minutes long. It's
no.
really, really long.
Well, okay, every stage in Sonic Unleashed, apart from the first one, is a little longer than it needs to be. But like in Generations, the stiffness of the control just happened to constantly hit us in the worst ways to make that stage just terrible. And as I've said before, once I went back and played it on my own time and wasn't concentrating on commentary, there was like no problem.
Yeah. What were you about to say other than that? Or was that what you were about to say?
I don't think
it
it
might
was
have been
anything.
that.
Yeah, I think that might just have been it. But the yeah, so the oh right, the whole thing with the city, with a lot of the city stuff. It's, yeah, I guess that is a standard Sonic thing, but to make use of the city as just instead of like a backdrop, because I was thinking for like the 2D Sonic games, how much does that happen? And
Yeah.
and in my opinion, it doesn't seem to like happen a lot, like at all, if at all, because usually it's background stuff that's like sort of, maybe you'll run up a building at one point and there are roads, but that's it.
I feel that just in general, the stages often, the 2D stages often don't feel as interactive as they could be outside what it was basically the standing for the casino, that game. There's a lot of interactivity in not forces.
Yeah, that the opposite is with forces.
And
Remember those
also,
giant sandworms? You think they could have done something with them?
Yeah. I guess there's also a lot of interactivity in CD, stuff like the bouncy.
Yeah, but that's less. Well, okay.
It's less so though. There's nothing like every stage has some gimmick to it. But there's a unique way to interact with the stage, rather than just you running through it and there's one thing, there's one section.
Yeah. The problem. Well, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that you can do off of the city. The problem is I'm getting the momentum of what I'm doing wrong and gimping my jumps. And honestly, I really should just be going for it rather than try to calculate anything.
Yeah, but it's in the problem.
Yeah, the problem is that with a lot of the city stages, you could technically go and do a whole bunch of stuff with it, but it's still like when you think about city, it usually, and you think about like running through very specifically, like unless a city, like a big part of the city was dedicated to something, between basically just doing a 2D version of Speed Highway again, there's not much you could do where running fast would be enough for a level design that makes sense while trying to keep to the city sort of design and keeping it very close.
Maybe a city, and this might have to be another unit, another world or something, but maybe a city where the buildings aren't possibly tall and you're basically spending the entire stage running up and down buildings. Or
that sounds interesting.
Where you're basically running along the street and you can go into the subway and race trains.
The thing is that, like, I think that sounds like an Eggman city. Like, if we're not going to go to some other different dimension, then that's easily a thing that Eggman could do.
Yeah, he can build 10,000 story buildings. So,
yep.
Yeah.
So it's really a point of like, you gotta be creative in a way that's not just flashy fluff.
Maybe have a flying stage, like a Tails flying stage, but you're flying through a city rather than whatever you usually fly through, and you can jump between buildings and stuff, or fly around the buildings. Maybe they don't want to do something that involves airplanes and buildings, but yeah.
Or maybe they don't want to do stuff that involves Tails having his own agency.
That seems more likely. So yeah, it's
I
their
am
idea.
very curious as to what the new Sonic situation is going to be. Like, super curious. Also, there's going to be a huge Nintendo Direct tomorrow, so that's also going to be interesting.
Yeah, and
It's probably going to announce.
video.
It's probably going to
Us
announce a
talking
whole
about
bunch
the
of.
Nintendo Direct right after. Well,
Oh.
not right after, but probably
Oh,
late
yeah.
in the night or the next day.
Yeah,
I
considering.
mean, the Nintendo Direct's probably going to go up before this part.
Yeah, that is true. Where they're going to unveil a whole bunch of stuff where it's just like, wow, I'd love to purchase it. Too bad I'm broke. And that's just going to be it, and then maybe they'll finally give more news to those starving Metroid fans.
Here's the dealio.
I told you
Here's
we can handle
here's
this
Cut
Zeddy by
Jack.
ourselves.
Here's the news, dude.
But the rebellious
Just say
squad
it.
have gotten hold of a
I
device of mine,
am going
and
to
they're using it
predict.
in ways for which it was never designed.
I'm going to predict.
What was it designed for, Doctor?
I'm talking to my friend. Yeah, I'm going to
Supposed
predict
extract
that
energy from our world,
we're
but the
going to get
machine is
Sorcerer's
unstable.
anniversary
Once it reaches
again.
full power, it can't be shut off. It will drain
And
our
it's
I
going
mean-
to be taken off the Switch again.
So that's what Amy was
I have it on my
talking
3DS.
You just want to go
And
smash.
now I'm
don't
wondering
you?
if it does get revealed
yeah.
tomorrow, I might just play it on the Switch.
What? It's
My
what I
3DS
do.
battery
Oh,
is
always your
not
answer
very
to
good right
everything,
now.
Hedgehog. If you wish to create a cataclysmic
I mean,
explosion that will
look,
incinerate
there's-
everything within 100
There's
miles,
technically a lot.
please
That's
smash
also
away.
a problem where just like
So,
technically you
there's
have
no
enough
off switch?
franchises
No,
where
not
like
anymore.
everything can have an anniversary
You
of
need
some
to get
sort
to the
between
machine
5 and 10.
reprogram the shutdown sequence.
So
I'll supply the brains.
Oh no, it's
You
a
will supply
Zelda
the brawn I
anniversary
need
this
to get
year.
past the Zeti.
Oh, and your ass.
So that's why I'm
so nice.
expecting them to
Good
do
one,
a
buddy.
free Zelda release.
Man up, Tails. I
Because
don't
they
like
already did
working with my
Forza
most
Anniversary
hated enemies
Edition.
any more than you do,
And
but our
they
entire
did
world is
Mario
at stake.
35,
Yeah,
so
well,
I'm
teaming up
expecting
with you feels
maybe
like the end of
Forza
the world, eh, man?
Adventures
I want to
Anniversary
take a long
Edition
shower by the
instead,
time we're done.
with online play or something.
or even worse, Mario 70.
That would be good. Well,
No, it'd be chaos. I just like
No, it'd be
imagine what
bad.
would happen.
I'm thinking, and my thought might be so long that you have to cut me off, but would 70 players make the games last longer, or because the main complaint with 35 is that the games are too long, and they kind of get monotonous because
Yeah, but the style of how the enemy stuff usually happens, it would like cut off a whole bunch of people at the beginning because there's no way, especially with certain target stuff, because not all the targeting is equal. And
And that's
then it would slowly
probably-
become a long game again.
yeah, it would probably even out. Like a lot more people would die at the beginning, and then the game would just progress as normal.
Yep. If only they made Super Mario 120 like they planned in the day, they wouldn't be pulling this.
If only they added some non-Super
well,
Mario
128.
stages. Well, no, I like that Nintendo set a precedent that Mario 3D games don't need direct sequels. So they can get them, or they can just not get them.
I mean, what are they going to
Plus,
call the
wasn't
next
Galaxy
one?
basically 128?
I mean, that was Sunshine.
No, I'm pretty sure, like...
No, they
this
wanted
Lost
to.
World
They
mechanic-
wanted to show. Well, no, not the lot. Remember, the whole 128 was to show how much the system how much the GameCube could handle at one point, practically. And
So what
then
was
they
that
just made
prototype
Sunshine.
that was basically like Galaxy / Lost World?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay.